Entebbe for official state visit, and also that follows the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi. And to shed more light on this topic, I'm so delighted to be accompanied over the phone by Dr. Monica William, the Professor of International Relations. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
Well, of course, Doctor, we are just following and tackling the latest event, which is the official visit that His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi did and arrived actually in Entebbe after also the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi. So can you tell us more about the critical bilateral talks? What are the primary strategic milestones that's going to be implemented between Cairo and Kampala?
Of course, indeed, the President of el-Sisi to Nairobi, which represents, of course, important milestone in the evolving relationship of Egyptian and African in general relations, particularly within the framework of Egypt's renowned strategic engagement with Africa, especially after President Fattah el-Sisi came to presidency. The visit reflects Cairo's broader foreign policy orientation towards strength, political coordination, economic integration, and of course security cooperation across the African continent at a time when Africa witnessing major geopolitical and economic transformation. So if we can tackle with the significance of this visit, which of course go beyond bilateral relation between Egypt and Nairobi, which is, of course, carries a broader regional implication linking to Horn of Africa, the Nile pattern, and the Red Sea security equation. The future of Africa is economic integrations, and of course, Nairobi, which has increasingly emerged as one of the Africa's leading diplomatic and economic hubs. On the other side, Egypt continued to position itself as a central regional actor connect North Africa, the Mediterranean, and the broader African continent. Of course, on the political level,
yes.
On the political level, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visit demonstrates Egypt's commitment to reinforce dialogue and coordination with key African states. As we mentioned, Kenya occupies an efficient position in East Africa due to its political weight, first of all, and economic capacity, and of course active diplomatic role within regional organizations such as East African Community and Governmental Authority on Development.
Well, of course, we've seen lots of visits by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and lots actually of talks with different African countries. But can we speak more about the security, the sustainable development within the Greek Lakes region and the Nile Basin too?
Of course, it's economically a visit closely linked to a strategy of expand trade and investment relation with African markets. East Africa represents one of the continent's fastest growing economic regions, so with Kenya functioning as a major gateway to neighboring markets such as Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and South Sudan. For Egypt, strength economic ties with Kenya or with Africa in general support the broader ambition to increase Egyptian exports, which increase joint investments and facilitate African market access for Egyptian industries. On the other side, on infrastructure and connectivity, which of course among the center theme of this visit, as you mentioned exactly, Egypt increasing emphasize the importance of transportation corridors and logistics networks, and of course energy cooperation and regional integration projects as key drivers for African development. So Egypt sees that the infrastructure diplomacy as both an economic opportunity. On the other side, it's a strategic tool which is capable of enhanced regional influence and strengthens continental integration. In addition, food security and agriculture cooperation is seen as part of or constitute important dimension of the relation between both sides. Both countries face mounting pressure related to climate change and geopolitical escalation or tensions. So this cooperation in agriculture technology, water management and food production could also emerge as a significant area of partnership between both sides.
Well, Dr. Monica, of course, we've been speaking about lots of investments, infrastructure, lots of projects going to happen. The trade, which we didn't forget actually, but reflecting on the African summit, which is Africa Forward Summit, which it concluded today. Actually, President Sisi also mentioned something very important. He said that the development without peace is not going to be achieved, especially this shows or defines Egypt's current situation when it comes to mediation, whether in Sudan or in Gaza.
Of course, there is a lot of challenges, and part of its, as we mentioned, its diplomatics provides that Egypt's comprehensive strategy combine political dialogue and economic cooperation, which of course infrastructure cooperation is highlighted in ways to strengthen the partnership between both sides. Of course, trade, or let me assure that trade exchange between Egypt and African countries expanded in recent years. According to Egyptian official statistics, for instance, trade volume between Egypt and Africa states reached nearly $7 billion in 2018 compared to approximately 5 or 0.6 billion in 2017. So it reflects a significant annual increase. Egyptian exports, of course, to Africa exceed $4.7 billion. Of course, it's driven mainly by construction materials and chemicals and, of course, engineering products. So Egyptian economic vision towards Africa is based on transforming the continent from a traditional sphere into a strategic economic partner. Egypt now focuses on opening African markets to Egyptian products while, of course, try to encourage investment in infrastructure, logistics, and energy and transport.
Well, of course, there's a lot to be coming when it comes also to sustainable development and clean energy. But also in Nairobi, President Sisi called for a fundamental reform of the international financial architecture, that shows why Egypt is the leader essential in advocating also for the global south on the world stage.
Of course, it's part of the important part in this regard. Economic relationship and expansion and trade expansion, energy cooperation is part of this part. And of course, Egypt further strategy where Egypt exports a wide range of industrial and consumer products to Kenya, and electric appliance, ballistics, and energy goods, as we see. One of the most, of course, it's lie in energy, or particularly renewable or clean energy, as you mentioned. Africa faces mounting energy challenges linking to population growth, for instance, climate change, infrastructure shortage. So energy security has become central to the development agenda of Africa, and of course for Egypt. So Egypt emerges as one of the leading regional actors in energy transformation, and of course Egypt has invested heavily in natural gas infrastructure, electricity, interconnection projects, and renewable energy initiatives such as solar and wind power. So Egypt's experience in large-scale energy projects has strengthened its regional position and increased its ability to cooperate with African partners with seeking to sustainable development solutions.
Well, we can mention that President Sisi also proposed an innovative mechanism, actually like a debt for development swaps. In your view, how can these solutions practically alleviate the fiscal pressure facing the African continent?
Of course, as we mentioned, that a lot of Egypt's regional energy ambition aligns with broader African development priorities. So, if we see that Egypt has effectively promoted electricity in interconnection projects and continental infrastructure initiatives which aim and enhance regional integration and reduce energy deficit across Africa, given, of course, the challenges of energy are worldwide due to the escalation between US and Iran. So Egypt's strategy based on transforming itself into a regional energy cooperation in green energy open new opportunities, of course, for foreign investment and international financing and global financial institution and international investors, which of course direct capital towards sustainable energy projects. So joint Africa and Egyptian cooperation in this regard will attract international support, especially as both countries seek to modernize infrastructure and expand industrial production in the south. One of the most important in this regard or solutions, of course, that trust or that supporting development stability from Egypt to enhance the political trust with African partners. It's a very important part in this regard. Kenya see cooperation, or Africa as all indeed, see cooperation with Egypt as part of a broader methodology or strategy which aims to diversify international partnership and strengthen its regional economic role.
Well, Dr. Monica William, the Professor of International Relations, I would like to thank you so much for your informative call. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a short break and we'll be back.